word AIDS, probably because I was too young, and I didn't think it had anything to do with me. When I came out to my parents when I was 14, I just turned 16, I was worried about encountering homophobic and transphobic kids at my school who would judge me. But now, in my mind, I've had to make the shift from thinking about how to deal with comments from close-minded classmates and teachers to figuring out new laws and living in a general atmosphere of heightened fear, anger, and uncertainty. I still saw the epidemic as just something you'd read about in a textbook. That changed when I started doing interviews for this project. Suddenly, it was like no time had passed between then and now. I think you'll see what I mean. So, you first. Who are you?
Hi, I'm Daryl, bisexual, positive. The doctor looked at me, looked right at me in the eyes and said, well, I'm afraid you've been found positive with HIV. You're a ticking time bomb waiting to go off.
Who are you?
I am the widower, Joe, positive. AIDS is not a gift unless you're the Grim Reaper. It doesn't come wrapped in pretty paper with ribbons and bows and a to from card. There's no gift receipt. You can't return it. There's no regifting, no regrets. It's yours to keep, but you can share it.
Who are you?
I am the protege. I'm Nick, negative. I've been in more high-risk situations than I care to recall. I've been in more high-risk situations than are possible to recall. It's hard to know what went where and with who when you're passed out on GHB every day for a year. I should have HIV.
Who are you?
The survivor. I am Ken, positive. AIDS is not the enemy. The real foe is fear. Those people who confuse and abuse nice people who are queer think we're all something to fear. The stigma. So profound is fear and stigmatization that it flies in the face of public awareness.
Who are you?
I'm Gia, and I'm reading the words of Jen, the outsider, negative. AIDS is a bitch. Everybody says so, no exceptions.
I know you were my filmmaking teacher at Harvard Westlake, but who are you?
Hi, Sophie. I'm the artist. My name is Sherry. AIDS is my best friend Mark, a brilliant artist lost in 1993. In his memory, I make art because his voice was silenced.
Who are you in the black shirt?
The hottie.
No shit, Sherlock.
I'm Clayton and I'm positive. AIDS is communal. When I first learned of my diagnosis, my initial fear was the potential people I was responsible for infecting. How long had it been?
How long had it been?
How many could I have exposed?
How many could I have exposed?
My second fear then took over. Will I be alone?
Will I be alone?
Will I be alone?
Will I be alone?
In my new world, however, I discovered there were countless more living with HIV, a number so high I never could have imagined it. I connected to a new community, one full of new brothers and support, education. I had found peace in my new community. I had found love in a hopeless place. Hashtag Rihanna.
You know Brianna? Nice. How about you on the stool?
I'm the kid, Mason, negative. AIDS is a detonation. In 2000, my aunt found out an old lover of hers was positive while she was hanging out at our house. She couldn't stop crying long enough to drive herself the 3 blocks home, so she asked me to drive. I was 12.
Who are you?
Hi, I'm the fuck buddy.
What?
I'm the fuck buddy, honey. I'm David. I am a sexually active man, and I get tested on a regular basis at the Los Angeles LGBT Center, which is a very safe and non-judgmental space. And I'm thinking about going on Truvada. I don't plan on abstaining from sex or getting married anytime soon, but I do plan on fucking. I'm negative.
Who are you?
Oh, the innocent, like you. I'm John, negative. AIDS is not your friend. It's going to slyly pose as a frenemy. It's going to follow you mysteriously down a dark alley, creep underneath your fingernails, oozing and making your organs drool.
That's nice. How about you with a nice jacket?
I'm Albert, the deserter, and I'm negative. And AIDS is a summer-like chorus girl with bright red lipstick and clownish hair who likes to mimic the horror of dying men behind a goonishly grimacing mask.
How about you with the headscarf?
Hi, I'm Christine, negative. I'm the best friend. I'm Sherry's best friend. AIDS was a black plague that actually brought people together. Gay and straight, male and female, young and old, religious and secular.
How about you with the cool glasses?
The guy. I'm Tim and I am positive. AIDS is popular. Anybody who wants to be somebody's got AIDS. We are profound, we are deep, we are cool, we are infected. Thank God.
Really? Who are you?
The savior. Negative. Gil. AIDS is a sedative. As a young adult, my best friend Billy endured low self-worth and high self-hate by buying as many records, stealing as many clothes, crashing as many cars, wasting as many of Daddy's dollars, and taking in as many drugs and dicks as he could, and as fast as possible, to douse his anger, pain, and shame. AIDS was welcomed.
How about you with the guitar?
The psychotherapist, negative somehow. My name is Jessie and I'm a trans woman. I've been a man with men, I've been a man with women, I've been a woman with women, and I've been a woman with men. I've been with gay men, I've been with lesbian women, I've been with bisexual men and bisexual women. I've been with straight men, straight women, and trans women, but no trans men thus far. However, the night is still young.
And who are you?
I'm Roland, the immigrant. Being HIV positive is like a multiple coming out for me. I'm already an immigrant, a gay man of color. How many more fights and how many more struggles can I take on?
And we are Queerwise.
When I started doing interviews for this project, I didn't expect to see how the AIDS crisis could affect my life. One of my interviewees told me that she had been president of her state's LGBTQ council, and I thought, that's not so different from what me and my friends do at our school. When she told me about the hippie 60s, and how that was a time of freedom and experimentation, I thought of how me and my friends are trying out new labels, new identities, and figuring out who we are.
The wedding. We're at a wedding in Washington, D.C. It's my wife, Susanna, and our two little daughters, Emma, 4, and Lila, 2. And the girls are serving as flower girls. Lila, still willing to wear a dress, leads the procession. She's the spreading the rose petals girl. It's the wedding of 2 friends. Actually, they're really part of the Legion of Susanna's friends. But after 5 years of living amongst the East Coast intelligentsia, I had been warmly welcomed into the tribe. Despite, or perhaps because, of the full disclosure of my whole self. Out in the open. You see, Sophie, when I was about your age, about 14, I'd made the decision to be honest with myself, completely. And others about my sexuality, and just about everything else. And I've managed to stick with that up to this very minute. Now, both the bride and groom had lost a parent and when they were quite young. And many of the toasts were from their friends and relatives referred to this very sad fact. There were lots of very sincere exclamations like, he would have been so proud, and she would have been so overjoyed. And when the couple took their turns, they spoke of the missing parent and the pain of their loss so young. And each related some moment that they had held close to their hearts and kept throughout the years. Their eyes watering up as they were telling these stories. Now, this was in the days before protease inhibitors, so my T cell count had dropped below 200. And though I felt just fine, I very often still felt the vertiginous chill, that taste of cold iron in the mouth that reminded me of when I was first told I was HIV positive. And I knew with certainty that I had brought this calamity on myself, and more shamefully on my dearest ones. I looked over at my indomitable, stubbornly loving wife, and she was just looking right at me. I thought she'd be completely absorbed in the proceedings, the laughter, the stories, all of that. But no, she was searching for my gaze. And I instantly had tears pooling up in my eyes and then running in little rivulets down my cheeks. And she put her hand on top of mine, and she leaned towards me, just tilting a few degrees. And she knew almost before I did the question that I had looming over my heart, casting a dark shadow. Would I survive to attend my daughter's weddings?
Would he?
Would I walk them down the aisle?
Would he?
Would I give them away?
Would he?
Would they lose their dad?
Would they lose their dad?
And as I looked into her eyes, I thought of that Lou Reed song, I'll Be Your Mirror. Reflect what you are, in case you don't know. And then she nodded firmly, and I pulled myself together.
Psychotherapy sessions, 2002. Each session is a game of musical chairs, either a mournful ode, a funereal dirge, or a pulsating, droning, trance-like rhythm, repeating over and over again, unceasingly, session after session. Each time I sit down, I never know if the client in front of me has received at best life-shattering news or at worst a death sentence. I am trained to filter out my own discomfort at their condition and their suffering, while somehow maintaining the purest strain of sympathy.
The diagnosis, 1996. The medical director of the AIDS Healthcare Foundation broke the news to me. She started by saying,
"This happens to some of the nicest people I know, and you were one of those people. But unfortunately,
You tested HIV positive."
that was 20 years ago. She kept on talking, but I would not. It was like she was not talking to me. I couldn't cry even if I wanted to. Was I supposed to? At some point, I came out of this trance-like state, but still devoid of anything that you can call emotions. And then I asked, what now?
What now?
I knew the drill, but it was about older people. I had been working for what is now the largest HIV/AIDS organization in the world for over 5 years. I had all the information and all the knowledge, but sometimes these are very, very weak weapons in matters of the flesh.
I say sympathy rather than empathy because I truly can't know what it's like for the clients, young, old, healthy, ill, or at death's door. AIDS is not yet a manageable disease, and while I know it cannot be transmitted in the room, I am instructed, as if I would need to be, that I cannot let the fear and hopelessness that attends its diagnosis infect my sympathy and positive regard for the people I sit with, each for 50 minutes a week. Sometimes it's all I can do to maintain and not run out of the room crying or screaming.
I have heard all about the breakthroughs, protease inhibitors and a cocktail of drugs that will make HIV manageable, normalized, just like diabetes and hypertension. Why don't you just take a pill?
Just take a pill.
As the medical expert went through the protocol, she might as well be talking to me in Greek. I couldn't understand any of the words that she was saying to me. All I could hear was this monologue going on in my head that was fully impregnated with unsettling questions such as, how much longer do I have to live? Will I have to carry another layer of stigma and the morality attached to it? How deep will my shame be? Will I withdraw or will I go full out? And why is this so much harder than coming out as queer? I feel so radioactive. And who do I tell? How many do I tell? How do I tell? How often do I tell? ¿Y qué pasará con mi privacidad? Y si quiero salir de los Estados Unidos, poder regresar, ¿qué países podré visitar? Y cuando regrese, podré entrar considerando mi nuevo estatus de VIH. And my people, including my family and friends, will they be able to sit with me at the same table and have a meal with me? And what about my romantic life? What about sex? How do I disclose? How often do I disclose? At what point do I disclose? And would I be able to handle the rejection in the heat of the moment, or would I shy away? And then these drugs are so new, so very new. ¿Cuánto veneno entrará en mi cuerpo?
With each session, I have to reset my neural circuitry and my baseline survival instincts and start all over again and find a way to somehow be loving, caring, and above all, calm in the face of our combined helplessness.
In a matter of few minutes, things became so much more complex and more complex, and my life was turned upside down. And that's why it sounded like Greek to me. There is no language that can translate these heightened emotions, all this convulsion. How do you translate a shattered image? Sophie, I was no longer who I thought I was.
I was no longer who I thought I was. A zebra, a horse, and a zoo turned the century. While lounging on the grass at a local zoo, I glanced over to a resident zebra and asked him, "Don't you wish you were a horse and you look like all the other horses?" The zebra stopped munching on his afternoon grass before he spoke, which was the polite thing to do, and said, "What's a horse?" Years later, I had a boyfriend who tried to run me over with a Volkswagen bus that had a broken muffler. My boyfriend said I was flirting with a man from Philadelphia. Actually, I was. It was during the attempted homicide that I decided hiding in the closet was far more difficult than explaining to others and family why I was being chased by a VW with no muffler along Ventura Boulevard. When I told my brother I was gay, I cried a lot. I mean a lot. "I don't wear dresses," I said repeatedly. "I don't wear dresses." Actually, I did. No point in emptying the whole closet all at once. When I hit middle age, it came time to take the sexual highway off-ramp. I, instead, got back on. Crack, meth, GK, HIV, AIDS were waiting for me.
GK, HIV, AIDS waiting for me.
So now I'm going to die, and I'm going to die soon. I decided to go out with dignity and class, pathetic life, noble death. First, I'm going to get sober, then I'm going to write a novel. I will learn to speak German, although it is cheaper to learn French. And I'll be buried in the Hawaiian Islands. Actually, I might not be able to do any of them. But what I can do is lay on the grass, reflect, and remember the zebra, the horse, and the zoo.
The lecture, 1989. Bill, my 25-year-old friend, is having trouble with balance, lung capacity, and his viral lows. He takes my arm and we walk at a slow, deliberate pace. The bump of crystal meth he had earlier in the car doesn't empower him like it had in months past, nor would more cigarettes. As I began to pick up speed sprinting along Melrose Avenue, he called out,
"Hold on, Sonny. Grandpa can't move like he used to."
Bill, now I know you don't want to lecture, but please listen to me. The drugs, the drinking, the cigarettes, they're not helping your situation. You've got to allow your body to heal. I felt like an idealistic fool attempting to enlighten this cynic that I've known since first grade. took a breath, smiled like a sage, and imparted his wisdom. Gil, this is who I am, and I am not going to change. I'm not going to stop going out having a good time and dancing and taking drugs. This is what I do. And I am going to keep on living the way that I live until I can't do it anymore. White.
White.
Straight.
Straight.
Affluent.
Affluent.
Attractive and male. In his mind, if you weren't born into all of those things, you were hopeless. Bill had only 2 of the qualifying traits, white and male. His family was not affluent, but merely upper middle class. His face and body did not match the attractiveness of the men on pages of L'Uomo Vogue, and he was 100% non-straight. Persecuted daily in high school about his sexuality, Billy withered. This typically fearless white male didn't defend himself. In college, we argued perspectives on being gay men. He told me, Gil, it's normal to date women, get married, have kids. What I'm doing is wrong. I know that. It's all wrong. 3 years later, he died. He was 29.
Letter to my mother, 2016. Mother, I remember your words whenever I leave a place. Be safe in every way. You are a caretaker. Professionally as a nurse, yes, but you have always been a caretaker. As the oldest of the younger of your siblings, your brothers and sisters were brought up in part by you. I watched you take care of your parents as they left this world, and you did so with strength. I held you in the semicircle around your brother's hospital bed as he too went finally and forever still. And here too you were strong, even as you cried. I don't want to be the one to break you. Be safe in every way. I haven't, and you know this. I remember coming out to you during a college break. I remember your response being, I know, I love you, I just want you to be safe. I know what that fear is. I know you are a caretaker, but I know you don't want to guide me out of this life. When I told you about my test results, that it wasn't HIV but something else, I could feel your relief. Be safe in every way. I can't be, and I won't be, but I will try. Enjoy your day, Mason.
The man with night sweats today. Sophie, dear, may I tell you how I met Tom Gunn? On the page, that is. In a poetry class shortly after moving to Los Angeles 5 years ago. His poems choked me, stopped my breathing, and revealed the truth in my moldy cupboard. I can tell you now, I'm not a quiet librarian in suburban Philadelphia. The poet's work spans the lifetimes of Auden, Isherwood, Williams, Rexroth, and Capote, but his verse pricked me in a way other gay artists had never. I'm still howling. The Man with Night Sweats by Tom Gunn. I have to change the bed, but catch myself instead, hugging my body to me, as if to shield it from the pains that will go through me, as if hands were enough to hold an avalanche off. I was a bedwetter until well into puberty. For only about a decade into my mid-20s did I finally learn about dry sheets, warm sleeps, and no shame mornings. The soaking shame of midnight harangues me again and still. Today, Sophie, it's HIV-related night sweats. Today, at nearly 60, I wake in the night hugging myself, shivering, and soaking at my core. That is when the one-eyed mongrel reminds me that one night with him makes you tremble. All of the nights are sleepless, fitful. Long series of tossing around under the covers and on top of the covers. I stare out the window, half asleep and half awake, at the shadows of tree branches creaking and pointing kinked fingers at me. There are med-related, tripped-out dreams, and I'm sweating and shivering at the same time. Yesterday's headlines and alternative facts are swimming in my sweat. My t-shirt and pants are clinging like wet plastic wrap. Then chills smack me awake with the break of dawn. I feel an ice-cold smack on my cheek and find stuck there maybe a red-brown autumn leaf freezing my face. If I try to peel the leaf away, I think my skin will rip open. Today, we simply begin another day. No day sweats, just the daily tasks at hand. As if hands were enough to hold an avalanche off.
The men today, I know them now. These men who 20 or 30 years ago might have died. Friends and lovers did. So many caresses lost, so much laughter silenced, unfinished feelings, unfinished bleak dreams, restless, listless, confusion. Are you next?
Are you next?
Am I next?
Am I next?
Clinging together, savoring the nectar from their bodies that could kill them all. HIV positive, not quite a death sentence. They were told you may live, accept the numbing pain, accept the medications, accept the isolation, accept the stigma. It is the price you pay to live. Accept your body that can only be shared with others of your kind. Others with the stigma. 20 or 30 years ago, Sophie. Time has passed, but I know these men. They are elders now, and they say to you, as they say to me, despite everything I did, everything I was, I have lived this long for a reason. To raise an abandoned child, to make art.
Make art.
To make music.
Make music.
To educate.
Educate.
To bear witness. To confess. To write. To write and spare nothing. Not the pain of loneliness, not the madness of drugs, the longing for sex, the memories of love. These men I know, they bear the stigma forever. With fierce purpose and quiet grace.
The confession. My confession, Sophie, 2016. My emotion was cut short because I turned them off way back when. When a friend of a friend was explaining to me the trauma in his life, seems his lover was growing inexplicably sick from a cancer that afflicted only gay men. So mysterious. Because nobody knew why or where or when, especially the how. How did this come about? Where was this coming from? Nobody had any answers. It was only speculation grew and was fertile in a barren field. The time was 1981, 82, West San Francisco.
Scientists at the National Centers for Disease Control in Atlanta today released the results of a study which shows that the lifestyle of some male homosexuals has triggered an epidemic of a rare form of cancer. Barbara Gazelle now in Atlanta.
I just moved from Oklahoma because I wanted out of the closet. So I came to California. You know, land of the free, home of the rave. I was just turning 33 so young, ambitious, full of spunky high hopes for myself. I was hanging out in the Castro, making new friends, having the time of my life. Then one day, my friend was crying because his life was changing, and only for the worse. Seems his best friend, his lover, was dying. And all I could think of was, did my friend also have the cancer? What could I do? I was at a loss of how to help. Did I even want to help? Would I if I could? I didn't have any answers. It was black fucking death. I was life.
Life!
My friend faded away. I found other friends. Healthy friends. Straight friends. A friend of my friend, well, he died, along with many others dropping off the planet at the time. But I was on a lighter path. I wasn't built for fear and death and traumas in life. I was lucky. I was blessed. Even far beyond my own just desserts. So I took the token I was given. I didn't look back, nor did I want to. All I wanted was life, and health, happiness, good times. I wanted success. The very thing which has eluded me these many years. Sophie, I didn't connect to HIV, to AIDS, or to anyone who had either. I hightailed it, and I ran for my own precious life. I turned my back and deserted my own clan. I took refuge back in the closet because I don't take chances. I sidestep the difficulties. My world is a closed-off affair when it comes to those things. And the cancer never touched me or my heart. But then, neither did the cure.
I have my own confession. I didn't attend the Women's March downtown the day after the inauguration. I wasn't there. I was alone that day. Hungry, hungover, and broke. Hard to stay woke when I'm hungry, hungover, and broke. That's my side. I don't think it would have fit in with the spirit of the day. Dark thoughts on a bright day. A white day. I saw so many beautiful pictures and videos, buses and airplanes and subways full of white women accessorized in pink. Seas of white faces turned pink from shouting for freedom from tyranny, chanting for their rights to not be stripped from them. I wasn't there. I was alone that day. In awe of all those people expressing their rights and their disdain for this new administration. All those people. And where were they before? When black and brown faces turned white, milk pouring down to wash the sting from their eyes. They were with her, I guess. I wasn't there. I was alone that day.
The Rejection, 2015. Hey, Miss Sophie. How do you tell a nice person that they've been mean, hateful, and unforgivable? Do you write them a letter expressing the depths of hell they've unleashed on your mind, body, and soul? It had been a long year for me already. I'd endured my fair share of ups and downs, embracing my new lifestyle. HIV positive at 24 years old. I wore the word undetectable like a badge of honor because it felt normal, it felt healthy, it felt safe. My doctor had told me I would find a man and settle down, and life would be what it always could have been. Normal. I pined for Gino for 6 long months. And finally, one night, when he finally decided to come home and spend the night, I thought it was going to be normal. But after the usual bar banter and antics, when Gino finally got in my car, he began to talk negatively about my HIV-positive best friend, Vincent. As I drove down Fountain Avenue towards my apartment, I could tell that Gino had begun to read my facial expressions and body language as uncomfortable. Uncomfortable doesn't begin to describe how it feels when he asks.
Wait, dude, are you HIV positive too?
I'm undetectable.
Turn right up ahead. Just take me back to the bar.
Out of all the rejections I've faced thus far, this was the first that left me feeling gutted, like a pig at the slaughter. Livestock. Replaceable. Expendable. And Gino was back at the bar, looking for his next hog to feast upon.
When I came out to my parents, they knew I'd been going to gender and sexuality awareness meetings at my school on a fairly regular basis. I think that they knew I was subconsciously beginning to question my identity and was drawn to GSA because of that. Yet, directly tied to my coming out as queer is my fear of conversion therapy, ignited by the stance of our new vice president. The administration scares me, and I told my parents that. Being very supportive of my coming out as queer, my parents told me that they would never send me to conversion therapy.
So, even for me, AIDS is hidden because I can't know what it feels like. But I do know what it's like to hide something inside me, being trans. Something that wouldn't necessarily kill me, but by not passing could prove dangerous or even fatal by exposing it to the world around me. Not only in terms of the violence perpetrated against trans people, but also the lack of adequate healthcare coverage for both HIV positive and trans people, and the presumption of an HIV positive status for all trans women.
When I started this project, I thought of the AIDS epidemic, as embarrassing as that seems now, as something akin to the Black Plague, something I'd read about on Wikipedia and dismissed as history.
AIDS is other people, nothing to do with me. AIDS is unifying newfound community. AIDS is a detonation. AIDS is the Black Plague. Radioactive, not mysterious or vague. When negative means positive, and positive's a bitch. AIDS is coming after us. AIDS is the wicked witch. AIDS is not your friend, but it can steal your friends away. AIDS is not the enemy.
Fear is our foe today.
Detectable or not, AIDS lingers in your cough. You're a ticking time bomb, just waiting to go off. AIDS is not for pussies, not a punishment from God. AIDS is not a pretty picture.
AIDS has shot its wad.
AIDS will not divide us, AIDS will never set us free. AIDS will not escape us, we are living history.
AIDS, the epidemic that connects gay sex with death. AIDS was something that I was born and bred to be petrified of, to reject my gay nature for the fear of the mortal danger that lurked in the darkness, waiting for me. But I always knew that who I was would become who I am. AIDS would come for me too. I could never escape the clutch of its grasp.
AIDS has affected my taste in art. I used to say I only liked pieces about the Holocaust. I saw Schindler's List in the theater 10 times. That's a bit odd for a 12-year-old. As I got older, I wanted to play Louis in Angels in America. There was the normal heart, milk, Dallas Buyers Club. Without art, AIDS might be less interesting, or I might be less affected. AIDS infects an audience.
AIDS is a one-eyed, one-horned, flying purple people eater. Oh yeah, the purple people eater came from outer space and lit in a tree, poked me with his horn, and moved in with me. For 30-some years, I have fed him, sheltered him, and kept him comfort. We've lived together like lovers, argumentative, private, and secretive, explosive, implosive, compulsive, repulsive, conclusive, yet never defining me. He sleeps in my cupboard mostly, and we are happy together, because he has not yet vexed to defeat me or gobble me up.
Sophie, get this. Title Sex in the City. Bernie is jealous because I have had carnal relations with his roommate Dan. Keeping up with me, honey?
Yeah.
All right. With my skinny skeletal frame conveniently providing the perfect canvas, Bernie starts rumors. Rumors are a disease.
How could you be so calculating and risk my health to satisfy your sexual pleasures?
I am puzzled and have no idea what Dan is talking about.
You have AIDS.
What? No, I don't. Why would you say that?
Bernie told me you did.
And at this moment, I found out gays have their own wicked witches of the West. And mine is Bernie.
Wicked witches, purple people eaters, oh my!
Self-disclosure may feel liberating and empowering at first, but it always comes with a heavy price. Even as an American-born citizen, a trans woman now married to another trans woman, an Italian, I have experienced discriminatory immigration laws. Before 2013, same-sex couples could not marry in this country. My wife and I had to leave the U.S. twice in order to remain together. Before 2010, federal immigration law prevented HIV-positive people from entering the country. They can still be denied a green card if officials determine they are likely to require government assistance.
I'm visiting my local Planned Parenthood, which is dangerously jeopardized by this new administration. I've always hated going to medical appointments. I mean, who doesn't? The receptionist hands me the paperwork. I take a seat and turn my attention to the forms and find my favorite question. The government funding we receive requires the following information. What is your race? Any guesses?
Mexican?
Brazilian?
Israeli.
Egyptian? Italian?
I can answer this question in different ways. A box for multiracial, one for other race. Neither of these options provides a space to say which other race or multitudinous races I am. I check both the African American box and the white box. Since the CDC says that black men who have sex with men account for the most new diagnoses for HIV, I know that the person who enters this data will have to choose one or the other, and I know which one they will choose. Statistics are only as accurate as the manipulative manner in which they are collected, allowing people to construct their arguments or justifications to amplify their beliefs. I wonder if these statistical justifications are mirrored on Grindr and other hookup sites that allow men-seeking men to set their own parameters.
Not into black guys.
Not into Asian guys.
Not into old guys.
Not into fat guys.
Sissies.
Trannies.
The diseased.
Another confession. The shade of my skin, my lightness, has protected me from full disclosure. A privilege. White privilege, I expect. I can pass. Shame at this sits in my stomach, and I fight back white tears.
I should have known better. I didn't care. Suicide fuck much slower than the noose. 100% preventable, 0% curable. AIDS is the last statue of shame I keep on a private altar in my soul. I share with only the most cherished. It is not a weapon, it is not an award. I am now the vessel of truth, I am the caretaker, to protect others from getting infected the way I was infected. I want to be irresponsible and careless, but I am not. I resent my new role. but I accepted the honorable AIDS-infected homosexual.
Sophie, I just want to make sure you understand this part of my experience. The specter of my death from AIDS, the taint of this bug inhabiting my body, making millions of copies of itself every day, did make me feel unclean and permanently soiled, especially when it came to making love to my wife. And as time passed, I felt her ever so slightly retreat, a gulf that gradually widened into a great chasm. But in truth, the virus was only one of the factors leading to the end of our enduring marriage. Money, my neediness, my volatility were just as much to blame. I came to feel indelibly stained by the sickness of being myself. My unnatural compulsions being the real disease. And eventually this feeling brought me to the brink of utter despair. But compared to the devastation that visited on the lives of so many people I knew, cherished, and all those I didn't know, people I considered brothers and sisters, my struggle is as nothing. I've never made a decision really based on the presence of HIV in my life. In the face of it, yes. I mean, after all, we did have 2 daughters. And this is back when they told us that it was absolutely impossible. But my wife and I, we found a safe way.
I have a question.
Are there any lesbians in these stories?
Not long ago, my girlfriend and I went on a walking tour of the Castro in San Francisco. We came upon a large mural which depicted the early days of the AIDS epidemic in the 1980s. And there, much larger than life, was an image of 2 women. Wow. I found the mural online. The depiction of the motorcycle women was a tribute to Dykes on Bikes, which had led the women's community in organizing blood and food drives when men's groups were being turned away from medical facilities. The magnificent mural is called Hope for the World Cure. 120 feet long, wrapping around the corners of what used to be the Bathroom Cafe. In the words of Thomas, one man who lived through the AIDS crisis, lesbians were as heroic as soldiers on the front lines. Even when no one yet knew how the virus was transmitted, they would forego the double set of rubber gloves to hold a sufferer's hand. They were often tasked with administering the last bit of morphine before the doctor came in to sign the death certificate. To Thomas, nothing he did to help this cause even came close to the compassion, the stamina, and the strength of these lesbians. So, that is the answer to my question. They might not have died from the disease, but lesbians fought to the end for those who did.
Sophie, AIDS took my best friend, a gem of a human being with a sparkling personality. He could make me laugh, dance like there was no tomorrow, and wear high heels. I met him during a dark time in my life. Death, divorce, depression, lingering forces from my teenage years were unbearable. We used to love stupid jokes, especially light bulb jokes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, how many lesbians does it take to screw in a light bulb?
Well, I don't know. How many?
That's not funny.
What?
met Michael on my first day at my new job as a puppeteer at a puppet theater in downtown Los Angeles. We went for tacos down the street and became the best of friends for the next 10 years. We made fabulous puppets together. He took me to the Oscars. I took him to see Little Shop of Horrors at the Westwood Playhouse. Oh, and we explored New York City. We went to the best button store in the entire universe. We drank cocktails with those little umbrellas. And we danced the night away. Boy, he really knew how to put on a show, with or without a puppet. He could really sell a number.
AIDS took my best friend. My desire to get pregnant grew out of my love for Sue, my maid of 14 years, and our desire to raise a child together. We charted my cycle every month. We inseminated during the fertile time, and we waited. When I'd bleed, we'd grieve. Sue and I had formed a family, thicker than blood. Among our chosen family were Mark and Roger. Mark was not only a brilliant artist, but he loved to travel and shop. He was my BF. As his health declined, the four of us decided to go to Bali, which is a shopper's paradise. When we were in Bali, we climbed up the side of a sacred volcano that the Balinese believe is the navel of the world. One of us nearing the end of life, another trying to invoke life. Both of us traveling back to the source of all beginnings.
The last time he was in the hospital, visiting hours were over, and there was only supposed to be 2 people at a time visiting anyway. But when I got there were 14 people, all crowded around his bed laughing with him. Oh, he loved the attention, the adoration, playing the dying swan to his captive audience. By the next day, his eyes were closed and they would never open again. Days later, the breathing tube forced his chest to rise and fall, but he just wasn't there anymore. His mother battled the doctors to remove the fucking tube, but they resisted. Thank God, she was like a dog with a bone. She always got her way. His sweet, skinny body just laid there, head gracefully tilted to one side. He was ready. So, what happens when you die anyway? Where do you go? Fuck if I know.
We used to discuss sperm donors with Mark.
Yeah.
Like with shopping, he was so picky. Too short, too bald, that one was too hairy. I wish we could have used Mark's sperm to make our baby. He was so handsome. Tall, blonde curls, blue eyes. So at 39, I figured getting pregnant would be easy, right? Just get some sperm to swim up near my uterus, that great seed churning with the potential of all life. Month after month, it didn't happen. Turns out, a woman's body is a hostile battlefield where Amazonian cells fight and kill the invading sperm. I wish I could have donated those warrior cells to Mark, whose T-cell count was dropping daily. Increments of time. We ticked off the days of my cycle, waiting for the egg to release. Mark's temperature rose, a sore wouldn't heal, lost his balance. Mark's body had become a passive vessel for countless infusions of experimental drugs. Mark was angry, frustrated by a body that betrayed his will. After he died, I wore Mark's ashes and a locket from Bali every time we had an insemination, reminding myself that from death comes life. 5 months later, I became pregnant with twins. Woohoo! He was the best shopper.
As more people told me story after story, I began counting my own friends, trying to imagine what it must have felt like to lose so many people. One of my interviewees said she had known dozens of people who died from the disease, and I couldn't believe that. Dozens?
Dozens.
Upon dozens.
Upon dozens.
Dozens.
Upon dozens.
Dozens.
Upon
Dozens.
When I asked my filmmaking teacher, Miss Skalke, about the AIDS crisis, and she told me about the AIDS quilt and gestured to show me how big it was like she could still see it there. It was like no time had passed between then and now.
But then I spent so many nights thinking how you did me wrong. I grew strong, and I learned how to get along. But now
We don't want your tiny hands anywhere near our underpants. We don't want your tiny hands anywhere near our underpants. We don't want your tiny hands anywhere near our underpants. I ordered my pink pussy hat for the downtown march online from Amazon Prime. The package arrives on Friday. I unwrap my pussy hat from its plastic covering. So soft, so warm, so pink. Oh, I rub it on my cheek, caress my neck. Oh, it's so sensual and sexy. I guess it felt like a real pussy, but how would I know? I look inside. Oh, look at this tag. Made in China. Ironic that a pussy hat comes from China. I mean, a place where pussies don't get their due respect. I mean, although the march is billed as a women's march, I know that men, especially gay men, will be welcome. I mean, come on. We turned the pink triangle into a power symbol decades ago. Since the election, I have been stressed about many things, but the rights of gay white men are only part of the challenge. I mean, look, women's rights are being threatened by those assholes. I think of my women friends, my mother, my co-workers, my queer-eyed comrades, and I consider the lesbians who came to rescue us during the AIDS crisis. I mean, sure, it can be tough for gay white men, but nothing compares to what women, I mean, all women, and especially women of color endure. To tell you the truth, I'm not going to put this pink pussy hat away in storage after the march. I'm going to keep wearing it in solidarity. Let's go, girls!
This is how it starts. A grandmother in Hawaii posts on Facebook, "Meet me in DC the day after the inauguration." 3.3 million gather in 500 cities worldwide. Sue and the twins, yeah, they're 22 now, marched in LA. Xochitl's t-shirt said 1973, referring to Roe v. Wade. Will you, Sophie, lose the rights that we fought so hard for? Marcus' t-shirt said, "The future is female." I was in DC. Monuments rise from the mist, the blinking eye of Washington's Dick, the father of our country. A river of women in pink pussy hats stream from every direction, pink ears erect, listen to the muses of the movement. Gloria, Angela, Janet, and one called America. Daughter of immigrants, actress, activist, first known to us as a woman with curves. Women of all colors marched to a white house built by slaves. We are the pussies.
We are the pussies.
The devouring vagina dentata of nasty women. Cunning linguists whose mother tongues cut with metaphor and humor. Pussies embrace.
Pussies embrace.
Pussies empower.
Pussies empower.
Pussies enfold.
Pussies enfold.
We will stitch together this crazy quilt of intersectionality with fierce determination and love.
Love.
The funeral, 1992. My partner Jeffrey's mother was the epitome of Southern belle, spoiled rich Southern belle. She emerged from the side door of the house wearing a black summer skirt. Over that she wore what she called a swing coat, which indeed did swing to and fro as she gingerly navigated the goose droppings in the muddy driveway. Nobody had the foresight to clean up the goose poop, nor did anybody think to shoo away those filthy geese. It was sunny, warm, not quite noon. Even the creek seemed perfectly still. The water bugs stretching tall on their skis sat motionless on the glassy surface. This was the same creek that Jeff's stepdad, Ray, told me he was sure formed a cave where the creek hit the hill and disappeared into the blackness beyond. I don't remember what the priest had to say about my Jeffrey that day. I do remember, though, that he rode with us in the limousine all the way from Joplin to St. Louis. He couldn't get a flight. Jeff's brother, the doctor, couldn't get a flight the day before, so instead, to be grand, he hired a limousine and chauffeur to drive us to his brother's funeral. The night before the funeral, Sophie, I slept in the back utility room on the fold-out sofa. Odd. When Jeff was alive, we always shared his room in the main house. Not this time. That was reserved for Brother Doctor. "Oh my!" exclaimed the Southern Belle as she pulled a previously polished shoe out of the muck. "I've got some of Jeff's ashes on my shoes." She clumsily dumped her son's ashes into that crystal clear creek, sending ghastly gray clouds adrift into the dark cave beyond.
The one night, 1990. One night on the cusp of 1990 turning to 1991, I stand with three friends at the corner of a whiskey-soaked bar at Rage, the Abbey of its time. They are cruising.
Cruising.
They are horny.
Horny.
They are in heat.
In heat.
I shyly look around. Oh, and I find a party horn. Oh, I am hot from dancing non-stop under a disco ball. One night, he stares. He smiles. He saunters over. We drink, oh God, we talk, we kiss. Last call! I do not want this feeling to end. We order our final cocktail.
The singing lesson, 1993. Oh, I don't know, I was 10 or maybe 12. I don't know, probably 12. His name was John. John was the director of Oliver, and I was the artful dodger. I knew he had AIDS. This man who I looked up to, who seemingly had everything my musical theater gay boy brain could hope for in life, was to lose his life, and that was distracting. I tried not to think about it while I watched the blonde, boring boy whose name escapes me right now, singing "Where is Love" in a tentative, vulnerable falsetto. AIDS was worse than HIV, I heard. I don't know.
One night I end up at his place. We passionately make out. We wake having never slept. We exchange numbers on a scratched paper instantly torn from a stack of envelopes, cedar cyanide envelopes, cluttering a corner of his kitchen counter. I take the walk of shame home. I wait by the phone. I leave a message on an answering machine. I wait by the phone. He never returns my call. We never see each other out and about. I realize we were never we, and experienced my first man-on-man one-night stand. One night, I receive a call 5 years later. They tell me they found a scratched piece of paper with my name on it, and that I might like to know that he passed away from AIDS. I pause, and I long for one night more.
I don't know if John died, Sophie. I never heard about him again. My mind wanders to Joe. Joe Barnett, the voice teacher who I adored. He was straight, they said. Oh no, Joe has a wife, they said. But his shorts were so short. He coaches me on Liza Minnelli songs, the rare ones, City Lights. He has me singing Some People, Mama Rose's first big musical number from Gypsy. He has me auditioning with As Long As He Needs Me from Oliver. He dropped dead. I still don't know what to make of the exuberant music man and the red candy apple Mazda Miata. They said it was a brain tumor. They said it was sudden. Fuck yeah, it was sudden. My heart was broken. They said he had a wife. I don't know. I never saw her, but I never saw him either, so I don't know. He said he had a wife. She'd have to be pretty amazing. He was. No matter who was with him, holding or not holding his hand when he passed, I don't know, but I love him. I don't know, and I don't care that I don't know.
I don't know, but I love him. I don't know, and I don't care that I don't know. The Party, 1989. Rob sees the twinkling lights of San Francisco as he stands on the Golden Gate Bridge. The city, perched like Oz on the edge of the bay, a gay mecca of revolution and liberation, besieged by an unrelenting disease, but determined to sparkle nonetheless. And revelers in the city below drink and dance and fuck into the wee hours, determined to be the authors of their own narratives instead of allowing the infectious interloper to write it for them. I'm in the closet and I'm attending my first gay pride party in West Hollywood. I scan the room, searching for the host of the party, and the sun-drenched city of Los Angeles stretches into the distance through the floor-to-ceiling windows. Well-groomed men are milling about. Some are dancing, some are drinking, some are gloriously peacocking. A tall man with tousled brown hair and a cotton shirt stretched across his lean torso approaches me. I am Rob. This is my party. His grip is firm and his arm is toned and tan. Hi, I'm Dave. I'm 22. He could be 35 or 45. Rob flashes a pearly white Hollywood smile. He is handsome and athletic, and he's also HIV positive. Sophie, later that year, Rob begins experiencing symptoms of AIDS, the beginning stages of dementia, a term that I heard bandied about in retirement homes, referring to fragile seniors, not a strapping young man. But instead of letting the disease invade his body and ultimately kill him, Rob decides to beat the disease at its own game. He drives to San Francisco on a Friday, and he checks into a motel room that night. He puts on a jacket, and he walks across the Golden Gate Bridge on a very chilly Friday night. And when his body is discovered in the bay, the police locate his car, and then they search the motel room. And they find a jacket hanging on the back of a chair, and the sleeves are stained with these orange smudges. They deduce that he attempted to jump on Friday night and backed down and came back to the motel room. And that's why there were orange smudges on the sleeves. Clues left from the bridge. Saturday night was a warm, breezy night. Rob did not need his jacket. His second attempt would be successful. Sophie, what is Rob thinking as he plunges into the icy sea?
The room was icy cold. February 23rd, 1992. The window is wide open to the swirling snow that buries 6th Avenue and muffles the sounds of traffic, subway trains, car horns, sirens, and voices.
None of which has any inkling that on the 16th floor, his partner slumps over the still warm body.
As long as he...
Resting his forehead on the dead man's chest,
I know where I
determined to hold on.
shall
But AIDS makes its sneaky visit
I'll cling on
to apartment 16G,
steadfastly
giggling and smacking its lips with glee
as long as
it snatches another man from the world.
I won't betray his trust, though people say I must. I've got to stay true just as long as he
Sophie, our friends did not die in vain.
Our friends did not die in vain.
Nuestras compañeras y compañeros no murieron en vano.
Through all these years, I've been aware that I got off easy. I never progressed, as they so weirdly put it. I never suffered from Kaposi sarcoma, toxoplasmosis, cytomegalovirus, cytomegalovirus, molluscum contagium, peripheral neuropathy, cryptosporiosis.
Cryptosporiosis!
I didn't die from AZT, as I'm convinced many people did, because I refused to take that shit. I found alternatives, and they kept me alive. And with some combination of determination and pure luck, we, all of us in this room, positive, negative, and neutral, and all of our fallen comrades, whom we hold so dearly in our hearts and minds, we have triumphed over the fucking thing.
Positive, negative, and neutral. We're not done here. We are in the act of triumphing, but have not triumphed. We face the fear and the stigma through education and awareness, but they are still with us. We fund treatment and research, make breakthroughs, but still many go untreated. There's more to do. Will you keep on fighting to protect the rights and bodies of our queer youth in schools and in the streets and in the fucking bathroom? Will you show up to the next Black Lives Matter action? Does that matter to you? How about supporting indigenous people trying to save what little land they have left? Land that this country stole. Does that matter to you? Will you resist when they come for Medicare and Medicaid, for Planned Parenthood? Can the immigrants you know, and the immigrants you don't, at LAX, at JFK, at CDG in Paris, count on you to stand up for them? Does that matter to you? We have not triumphed until we've done so for all of us. All of us and all our rights.
Shades of Disclosure hasn't just been a historical event with red ribbons and commemorative plaques. These aren't just actors playing characters with their lines learned. This is about the people who died, who lived, and who are still here today. I guess I knew that AIDS could make your body waste away, but before hearing Gil and Christine's stories, I never could have imagined having a 20-year-old friend who looked 40. I know that immigration is a hot-button topic, but Jesse's story illuminated for me how HIV-positive people still struggle with these policies simply because of their status. I know that LGBTQ people, like me, commit suicide because of bullying at school or at home. But when I heard David's story about the boy who would jump off the Golden Gate Bridge instead of let AIDS kill him, I thought, what kind of choice is that? And finally, I love art, and I want to be an artist when I grow up. And I know that pain can be an inspiration. But what Miss Gawke taught me when she made something beautiful to honor her best friend Mark is that even after you make something beautiful, the sadness doesn't go away. I'm still struggling with my own identity. Even though I identify as queer now, that doesn't mean I have to stick with it. So today, I'm not just some kid with an imagination and a camera. I saw the AIDS quilt firsthand. Queerwise is that quilt. I'm part of something bigger that's bigger than any of us. A community that's bigger than all of us. Queerwise has mentored me, all 17 of them, as I continue to discover who I am.
Build bridges instead of walls.
One kindness at a time.
By the way, I fight back.
Not him, not her, just us.
Still fighting equality 100 years later.
We will survive, keep hope alive.
Intolerance creates stigmas worse than HIV.
Create and bear witness.
Purpose and passion through powerful action.
Glass ceiling shattered. Thank you, Hillary.
I shall persevere in this new year.
Keep listening, start acting, empathy always.
We are one people, painted in many colors.
Fight the fear, put people first.
Fight deception, be creative.
I'll use the ladies' room. Thank you.
We have love. We have hope.
Hope.
We have hope.
Hope is who we are.